Hello YouTube, Jonathan here, and today I wanted to take another look at an old version of Axis and Allies Revised. Now, in a previous video, we took a look at the Soviet Union and some strategies it would pursue and spent most of the time talking about the Soviet-German border along here. Today, we're going to talk about the other side of that border and the country that has to deal with that, Germany. Now, what Germany needs to do against the Soviet Union on the first turn is highly dependent on what the Soviet Union does. If the Soviets attack Norway and not Ukraine, or they attack Belarus for some reason, the Soviets could attack a number of different places. I believe West Russia and Ukraine are the best options, but the Soviet player may not always make that move. So what you want to be looking for as Germany in terms of this front, you want to attack if this in a spot where the Soviet Union is particularly weak. Normally that means taking Karelia. Your units up here aren't going to be doing a whole lot. The argument could be made to leave them there for a turn, just to slow down England so England doesn't get it on England's first turn. It's pretty inevitable that England's going to get it by the second, if not the third turn. So you are going to want to eventually move those troops out sooner rather than later. My preference is to do it at the very beginning of the game, either normally the first turn, possibly the second, but no later than that, to take Karelia. Assuming that the Soviets took West Russia, which is the most obvious move, regardless of what else they do, they should always take that on the first turn. Going after Archangel probably is not going to be a good idea. The only thing you can get there is a tank, or yeah, just one tank, really, the tank from Eastern Europe, and then it's going to get killed easily in a Soviet counterattack, and all you're getting is 2 production for a turn. Not really worth it. I would not recommend it. But yes, go after Karelia, and if the Soviets took Ukraine, then you want to get Ukraine back. Absolutely. Now, if they didn't take Ukraine, that may change what you do down here in North Africa and the Mediterranean. If they didn't take Ukraine, then you suddenly have these forces here. You've got a battleship with a transport. You could potentially, if Caucasus is somewhat weak, load up, drop off guys here. You might be able to take Caucasus, or Caucasus. I don't know why I always mispronounce that. The Caucasus. Normally that isn't going to be something you can do. If you are able to take the Caucasus on your first turn, especially if you can hold it, or if the Soviets have to devote a decent chunk of their forces to taking it back, that is often something worth doing. But typically that isn't something that's going to be an option, because the Soviets are either going to have it fortified too heavily, or they're going to take Ukraine, which means at most you can send 2 land forces. And your air force is mostly going to be needed to do other things this turn. Now, you can use your air force when you counterattack against Ukraine. You may want to send a couple planes in there to help, so long as you don't need them for anything else. Now, when it comes to the Mediterranean, we're going to assume that we aren't going to use our boats over here in Ukraine or Caucasus. What I like to do is take Egypt on the first turn. And there are a couple reasons for this. First, it's worth 2 production, which is nice. Second, it is your gateway into the rest of Africa. If you can get through Egypt, you can start gobbling up some other territories, production for free. And third, it has not only a British tank, which is offense and has extra movement, but it also has a fighter. A fighter that, if we don't take out, could be very annoying, either for us, or England might move it over here to deal with Japan, put it on the carrier. England might do all sorts of things with that fighter, and it's really a good idea if we can take it out. So normally, I'll send my ships here, load up a couple units, drop them off, move these troops across North Africa, and then I may send normally I also send a bomber down from Germany to make sure I get the territory. The battleship over here can be a little bit tricky. Normally, I will send a handful of fighters against it, and yes, I am going to take some casualties, but if England ends up with two battleships on its first turn, battleship here, battleship there, that can be a major problem. It means they can immediately start putting transports down, and remember, transports defend in this game and could be taken as casualties, which means that their navy with two battleships and potentially two transports, because there's two transports up there, and anything else they build is much stronger than a similarly sized fleet in 1942 second edition. Quite a bit stronger. You do have, as Germany, this sub over here. You can send him down here to help with that battleship. That's often a good idea. It allows you to get that first strike advantage and to take a hit without having to lose your fighters, which are going to be a lot more important to you. The alternative for that sub is to go up over here against that transport, but ultimately, it's my opinion that taking out the Mediterranean Navy is a lot more important. And something else I'd like to do as Germany is to buy a fighter each turn, at least on the first couple, so that I can replace both the casualties that I feel that sometimes I need to take on the first turn to do what I need to do, and I can have a stronger force to deal with the British Navy a few turns in. Now, our Navy over here does not have the range to get to this British fleet, so it's pretty much safe. The only thing that can get there is this sub, but a sub against a battleship and a transport is suicide in this game, even with the first strike advantage. And so normally I will leave that fleet here. I may use that transport to shuffle up a few infantry from Germany, get them up to Karelia a little bit faster. The tanks can actually just drive there, so you don't need to load them up on anything. And normally I will shift a few infantry from either Germany or Southern Europe over to Western Europe so that I can still have decent defense, but move the tanks and get the fighter over here if that's what I feel like I need to do. It's very important as Germany that you, just as it was for the Soviet Union and for all countries, but it's often overlooked with Germany because there are simply so many units. You want to use all of them to maximum effect. Never think, well, I'm going to take this territory, I don't need to send this fighter, or there's nothing really I can do with this bomber. Now, I've never been a huge fan of strategically bombing. I think statistically it ends up being a wash. Maybe you come out slightly ahead, or maybe you're a little bit behind in any particular raid, but overall, I don't think that it really makes much of a difference. But you still always want to use your units, even if you're just using them defensively. You know, you're putting up a shield of infantry or landing an extra fighter in territory to dissuade England or the US from doing an amphibious assault. Always look at your units and have a plan for them. Whether it's attacking or defending, always keep an eye on where England's fleet is. If they have a tendency to split it up, is there a weaker half? Or are both sides so weak? Can you hit them with your fighters? If you can position you still want to be using your fighters as much as you can, but if you can position them so when they land at the end of combat, they could threaten some sea zones, England is going to think twice about putting its navy in certain places. You can dissuade them an extra turn or two until they build up their navy even more from moving into certain zones. And you want to do that with your Air Force, and you want to constantly be adding to it. Not so much per turn that it's going to weaken your fight against Russia, because I believe that is oftentimes where this game is decided. But you don't want to be caught off guard suddenly either by the British or the Americans. That is an overview of my thoughts on the German Empire, the Third Reich, in this game of Axis and Allies Revised. If you enjoyed this video, I'd appreciate it if you let me know with a thumbs up or a comment in the comment section. If you have any strategy ideas, things you'd like me to look at, questions about what you saw here, please do leave those in the comments section. And I hope you enjoyed this video.